Scene. Just finished getting set up. You tired?
Yeah, I just started yawning.
Oh no, I don't want that. Okay, let's
Yeah,
set this up. Okay. Hopefully that's good enough.
Okay. We can do what, 15, 20, what do you think?
Yeah, something like that. Something fast.
Okay.
Depending on how fast your
Responses are?
well, not that number one. Number two, how long your paint takes to dry.
Let's call it at least latest 1:45.
Okay, perfect.
So
hopefully everybody can see. I hope the lighting doesn't suck. The more important thing will be to see if the Wi-Fi shits out on us. Let's see about that. Hope everyone's having a great, what is today? Saturday. Promised 2 episodes in 1 week. Okay, here we go. Let's just get right into it. I don't know, is there something that you directly want to talk about right off the bat? Or any questions?
What did they get to hear about you and what you're up to? And
yeah, as far as like pop-ups or just content?
well, how about let's just say like it's January.
Come a little bit close to the mic. Yeah.
It's January 27th, so it's been 27 days since you and I don't really make New Year's resolutions.
Right.
But our goals for 2018 we can talk about.
Yeah. So I wrote all mine down. Do you write yours down?
No, I just figured it was so simple that I could remember.
Okay. See, that's a good way to do it. No, I don't. I write mine down. I said that I wanted to do one pop-up per month of 2017. That is exclusively creative outlet. It's not to pitch a restaurant. It's not to get an investor. It's just which helped me a lot with that like creative hurdle.
Okay.
To not wrap so much, because it's really hard when you have people that have never seen you before, never to like come in and just be like, this is exactly what I do, and you have one chance to do it.
Right.
Because one, your next event isn't for another 30 days or 60 days, and two, you're charging a lot. So when I took away that stigma, and I was like, these events are just for fun, they're just for me to get food-related ideas out of my head, it made it a lot more interesting, and it made me so much more motivated to plan them, to write the menus. Like the menu flowed much more freely for this next event for me. And I think that comes back to the audience thing that we talked about last time, where it's just like I stopped trying to pander, stopped trying to please everyone, because that's what I wanted to do for a lot of it, because a lot of it in me was like, I don't want to just do this selfish creation. I want to please people. I want to make people happy. So it was like constantly trying to put out all these fires of like what makes people happy and what people actually want, and it doesn't work. It didn't work. So I'm trying. That's what I'm trying.
So first. So what's your 2018? What'd you learn from it? What's your 2018 goal then? Just to clarify.
To stop pandering and just create.
Gotcha.
Because then I can put my stamp of approval on it, right? Because before, if it's like, well, I kind of thought you would like this, no one likes to hear that. I mean, maybe they do, but I wouldn't. And the moment that I came to realize that was when I was at Osteria Francescana, which was the first kind of like really creative meal I've had in a long time. And it was just so unapologetic. Right? It's just like, this is what I made, and I made this, and I'm proud of it, and it's me, and it's that has much more impact than, oh, well, I kind of thought that this would strike a chord with you, because you can't realistically. All these chefs that say that they're going to like play on childhood memories, I don't know what your childhood was like. Right? Like, how am I going to realistically, like, Massimo probably served something in that meal that could bring an Italian person to tears.
Right.
Because there was such a strong memory to it. I don't have that. There's zero.
Well, I would argue the opposite, because I think that's the journey as you get older. I think it's Picasso who says like, it may take you years to master how to draw like a Renaissance painter, but it would take you a lifetime to kind of draws a child.
Right.
And so, I think you're on the track, the journey of, you're trying to figure out what you want, what you're proud of, what you're creative of. But I wouldn't say that there's no way you can connect your childhood memories with
someone else's.
Right, because that's the journey. That's if for some people that's the end goal.
Right.
And that could take a lifetime.
So that's the short list for 2018. I also told myself I wanted to write a menu every week, because that was something that I did right when I moved to Seattle, and I'm 3 weeks behind. I have 2 menus written out of like the 5 weeks that we've been in this year so far. So I really need to step it up. It's hard because I want to see all these things to fruition, but the ideal goal of writing a menu every week is to just show myself, 1, I can do it, 2, I want to be able to look back year after year after year, because I have menus from, I think, starting in February of 2017 that I can now look back at. And I want to just continue that to see how my ideas have been growing and how it's maturing and evolving. And that's on the food side of things. On the content side of things, just keep uploading. YouTube, Instagram's the same. I want to be posting more. I want to grow that as
Posting more.
Yeah. Well, you joke about my stories, but that's that is a very passive way for me to post. I'm talking about like real thought out posts, not trying to being less perfect with it for sure, because I do struggle with that, like posting, because I love photography. It's like this hobby of mine that I really enjoy.
I see.
So it's really hard for me to post a selfie on Instagram, or like an iPhone photo on Instagram, because I enjoy the process of the camera stuff.
So your stories are kind of like, it's almost, the way I view it as a visual artist is their sketchbook, the sketch ideas at the moment.
That's the stories for me, for sure.
And it's because I view it still as a post versus.
Well, you're really good at posting daily.
Trust me, it's not easy.
Consistently though, consistently. Like I always see a post from you.
It's routine wise, but I also that comes with being organized, and I know you are organized as well. And if from what my understanding is, if you're going to post those photographs that you do with your camera, then it makes sense, because it's almost like your stories or your sketchbook, like I mentioned before, and then your actual posts, the permanent
gallery.
Exactly, it's your final product. It's been edited. It's been polished.
Right.
And if that's approach, that's good, because stepping back from your original, from food wise, it sounds like your 2018 goal food wise is quantity,
but it's the same. It is the same principle, where writing the menus, which stay on my Google Drive, no one sees them, is the sketchbook. Right. And then the dinners are these kind of like polished actual events that I charge money for. That was the other thing that I'm focusing more on in 2018, is doing, again, being back to going unapologetic with it, charging what I need to charge and not being romantic about the price. Meaning doing work to supplement the pop-ups, because if it's just going to be for fun, I can't realistically charge $200 a person for the menu. I could, you know what I mean, but I'm getting to a point where I'm not romantic about it. I just don't, I would rather do work that pays for it for me, and then the pop-ups can be, you go out and have an amazing experience, but it's not restaurant prices.
I see. Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
So okay. So there's 2 aspects, and it's more like business stuff. It's talking. It's just, you want something to sustain itself, but also you also create this quality experience that you can get outside the restaurants.
Right.
And that's
because
more.
Removing competition was also something that I'm intensely interested in.
Well, you don't want to remove competition though.
Not remove it, but not. I don't want to have to compete with a restaurant. I mean, you are, right? But it should be something where. I mean, that's why I struggled so hard with it last year, because it was like I was competing with all these other guys in Seattle who were doing pop-ups, all these other restaurants who had tasting menus, priced very similar to mine.
Right.
I mean, I thought about doing just a $295 menu and see what happens.
Right.
Because like I got in touch with this guy who does like $10,000 food excursions, and I have a waiting list for it. out of Seattle, right? Like, that's what I talk about by removing competition.
Right.
Where it's like, my tasting menu is so stupid cheap for what you get that restaurants can't compete, or flipping it and being like, this is so expensive that it's in a different league than restaurants. Just something that I'm thinking about, because it is the first thing that people ask when they ask about an event.
But now it makes sense what you struggled with, because you were thinking more of your audience and the competition.
Trying to please everyone.
Right.
Easiest way to fill.
And then versus what you wanted to. And that's, I don't think anybody could ever not consciously think about it.
Right.
Especially if they are pursuing any artistic career, you're gonna have to think about the audience.
Pay the bills too, man.
Right. You're right. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. So for you, goals.
Well, goals.
Things you learned.
Things I learned in 2017 is that the art that I'm at and I'm creating is headed in the right trajectory. I'm not like done. I don't think I'm plateauing. It's heading in the right direction. So it's taking it to the next step. So 2018 goal is, it's kind of the opposite of you, was I stayed focused on myself, and now I'm trying to integrate the audience.
Right.
And so the live art, like my Airbnb menu art experience.
Which, for everybody that doesn't know, it means that he partners with Airbnb. You market through Airbnb.
Correct.
Hosted at a restaurant, a local restaurant in Seattle. I mean, it doesn't even have to be in Seattle. You could have done one here. We're in Atlanta, by the way, for everyone.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And people come in, they pay a set price, they get dinner, plus being able to watch you.
Well, let me clarify.
Yeah.
So it's a set price for the menu art. You get a commission menu art with the experience.
So you get to choose what
exactly.
Dozfy draws, right?
Right, but the food itself, it's on you. So you could come in and just get your own drinks and come in. That's fine.
Got it.
Because, like you mentioned, when we did the beta test, people varied in terms of how much they would commit.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. And from that, I realized it's not. The food is another element for them to think about, versus you eliminate it and you just focus on the menu art and the experience. Then it makes it easier for them to understand what the concept is about. And I think that's what Airbnb had trouble grasping. It's like, what's happening? Focus it on you. And I think I was afraid to, and now this year I'm trying to tear those walls down, which is another reason why we're here in Atlanta.
Right. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what we're doing here.
So
just like real fast.
Yeah, real fast. We're at Team Heidi, which is a great nonprofit organization that helps people in the restaurant industry. It's a huge fundraising event, and at this event, I'm doing a live drawing, painting pieces. Hopefully, we're getting 3 done in a very short amount of time span, like 5 hours. Yeah, but it's pushing myself, and then going from there. And Atlanta has always been wondrous and great, and I'm extremely grateful.
You used to live here.
I used to live here, yes. I come back because I miss it a lot, but I also love Seattle as well. So, Justin, you were kind enough to join me.
Yeah, 100%. You're kind enough to invite me. We're at a restaurant right now. We're at Il Giallo Osteria and Bar. That's you're doing another piece here. You're doing a mural.
Yeah, mural. If that
mural.
Yeah. Right. So, just pretty much, I've done a couple mirror pieces. And so it's a different approach. You probably, if we get any video shoot, we'll probably show it.
100%.
But
yeah, eventually.
It's just a painting, but like inverse painting in a way, a paint on paint.
Yeah, it's going backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in their private dining room. You can probably hear like the dining room music on the podcast right now, or even if you're watching on YouTube. If you have any questions for Patrick, you should leave them. I'm so thankful the Wi-Fi hasn't spud out on us yet.
Yeah.
So I'm super proud of you for the Airbnb experiences, because it is an example of pleasing everyone. You created this system where it's a win-win for everyone, right? So it's a win for the restaurants because they're getting people to come in. It's a win for you because you get that live interaction where it's like all these people like your photos on Instagram, but they have no way of interacting with you in person.
Yeah.
You're creating access.
Yeah, because menu art it's ideally meant for the restaurants and the cooking staff in the back and service staff in the front. And so yes, you're right. It gives you kind of this. It's funny we're talking about like a documentary type of point of view,
right?
Because are asking questions how I started, how my method about it, how I my background, and that's what the menu art experience is. And then they come home with the menu art. So you're absolutely correct. And the price that I set is very, very reasonable, and it's
What does it start at?
It's $50.
$50.
Yeah, and it sustains itself, which is great because it can move on forward to the next project.
Because that's such a fun night out, right? Like, I think about when Anna and I go out to dinner, it's usually like, we thankfully, like, that is part of our relationship, so there's no issues there, but I can see people who, like, go out to eat and have nothing to talk about because either, like, they spend time together or their industries are separate. Like, that's such a great date night. It's such a great thing to do with, like, a coworker.
Yeah.
And you keep it pretty small, right? It's normally pretty intimate.
Yeah, 4 people, 5 people pushing it, and it's because it's imagine as if you had a family dinner setting.
Right.
And that's also one of my goals in trying to understand the live experience is having grown in the South, it emulate just like a family dinner, inviting a couple of friends over, and it almost feels like you're just coming over to eat, and it happens you have a topic already at hand, and then wherever it leads, I mean that's just the spontaneity and organic process of it.
Sure. So to make it a proper follow-up to our first interview, is there anything that we talked about in the first time that you'd like to either expand on or that you like have interesting more thoughts on? Or
well, I think the question that I guess still lingers or resonates in my head is that we talked about did we talk about like craft, building a craft?
Tons. I mean, that was like the main theme that I drew. I think it's one of the only segments that's actually published on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I made like a little compilation of every single thing that we talked about relating to refining the craft, and I mean that's the answer for a lot of people. Asking me questions on Instagram or tweeting at me or in the YouTube comments. It's like I do talk a lot about gear on my channel, but it's not about that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could give you a big pen. And you do big pen stuff, you know what I mean? And it's amazing. It's not about the gear that you use, but it is something that I geek out on, so it is something that I talk about. But that's the answer. Get the craft down first.
Absolutely.
But sorry, your question, you're lingering.
Well, because the thing is we're here at this restaurant at a mural I did 2 years ago. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I knew which pen I'd use. I still can use this pen, but you saw all this stuff. Like I have better control.
Right.
And it's like what we talked about. Some people would view that I've already mastered drawing. It's like, no, I'm still learning. Like drawing on paper is just one aspect. Now you saw it's like 20 feet long.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So it's Italy. It is Italy, and then a bunch of different foods inside of Italy, and animals, and
which represent different regions.
Right, and it all matches the map, which is awesome. But I definitely see it. I can see the evolution of it. I see how it scales in different capacities, which is also really interesting. And I feel like there is something that ties along with food with that as well. Where it's
I absolutely agree with that because you mentioned the big pen and stuff like that. Is building a craft doesn't mean you master it, you understand it. And I guess the best way I can relate it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is how a lot of chefs say respect the ingredients you get from.
Yes, at a certain point, but continue, and we can elaborate on that.
Well, so the reason why I say that is like, say you used a ballpoint pen. I know what type of marks I can make with it, but I'm not going to do it the same thing. Like I don't paint with a ballpoint pen. I may paint with the ballpoint ink. But not the pen itself, because that tool doesn't allow me to.
I understand.
And in a way, I would not disrespect the abilities of a ballpoint pen. Like, don't tell the ballpoint pen to be a paintbrush.
Right.
You know.
I guess that goes more to the effect of I think the term respect your ingredients lends more to trying to simplify. Yeah. Right. A lot of people say that to make sure that you're. When I interviewed Jeannie Kwan in Chicago, she said something along the lines of her chef, Noah Sandoval, wants to make ingredients taste the way that they naturally taste as much as possible, which is what a lot of chefs, quote unquote, try to do. But there's a line by Irv Thies, who is a French guy who is a writer and he was big in the molecular style. Yeah. And he said something along the lines of, a kitchen is a playground for manipulation. Right. So if I take this carrot and I cook it, like boil it, that's manipulation. If I peel it and boil it, that's manipulation.
Right.
If I peel it, cut it, boil it, that's manipulation.
Right.
Like, when does it stop? And when is it, you know what I mean? Where it's like, you peeled it, you cooked it, you put it in a bag, you cooked it sous vide, you pureed it, you dried it, you puffed it into a chip.
Yeah.
Is that the last step?
Well, I think there's two aspects then.
Those are the techniques, right?
Right,
Like
techniques.
when you're talking about like painting with the big ink and all that stuff.
Right.
So that is, to me, the closest comparison rather than, because you can, and that's where the molecular movement was so kind of like earth-shattering for a lot of people, because it was like all these techniques that you would normally do with fish,
Right.
you were now doing it with carrots.
Right.
I was like, whoa, like, what do you mean
Right.
you're doing that? And so that's why it screwed everybody up and why it yielded so disastrous results sometimes, where you're eating like foams made from things you don't want to eat.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's the thing. You have to go that journey. You have to make those experiments. You have to learn from them, make some mistakes. I mean, I think that's the extension that I think when we talk about resonate from the last conversation is, work on your craft means make mistakes.
Right.
Don't be afraid to fail. Actually, I think a lot of my mentors in the art world were just mentioning, it's just like, at some point, if you get well known, people will kind of dictate who you are, and you want to change that.
Sure.
And if you don't want to change that, then you no longer become an artist. And that's the thing, is build your craft means you have
An identity.
Yeah, you have to fail, because from there you get to dissect what truly is how you respond to certain whatever artistic pursuits you're having, but whatever, what are you trying to go to?
Sure.
I think that's the hard part. So when you talk about manipulation of ingredients, I think that's a crucial part. I think the difficult part is when we say respect, it's such a blanket term.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's why I talk about it, is like, when do you stop, right? And this isn't me shit talking on molecular gastronomy or modernist cuisine or any element of that, because I'm going to go back to the meal that I had at Austria French Toscana, which was so surprising because it did have a lot. Like, there was fluid gels, there was bites that exploded in your mouth when you ate it. There was, the 5 textures of Parmesan dish has like foam and 2 warm gels and a chip. You know what I mean? Like, that is pure manipulation of an ingredient to in 5 different ways.
Right.
The thing was, it went away from look what I can do,
right,
to like, I'm going to show you this ingredient in a way you've never had before. And there's such a fine line between that, where it's like, you really have to be careful with it, and it has to be very intentional. And if it comes with a story, you have farly increased, like way increased chances of actual success.
So, from my understanding, and did I interrupt you?
No.
From what you're telling me, the techniques, it didn't become gimmicky.
Zero gimmicks. Yes, it was gimmicky in some ways.
Well,
but
it wasn't.
I got it. You know what I mean? I can understand it, right? It's like the, those canvases that you see where it's just like a red square.
Right.
A red painted square. It's like, yes, I see that it's kind of just like, there is a gimmick to it where it's just like, you're making a statement, but I understand that you're making a statement. That's what I understand. He did a dish called Autumn in New York or something like that, where it was like it was a couple different fluid gels piped out in the shape of a red apple with a green leaf, with like Parisienne scoops of apple and beet and like an apple dashi that they poured tableside. It was not good. It was not tasty. Like, I could taste everything individually, but I understood what he was going for. Where it's like this earthy, kind of cartoony view of what he felt in New York. And that is why I go back to talking about wanting to infuse my identity into the food that I'm doing.
Well, from my understanding, what you're saying, what I draw from that is, if you broke it down to, I think you mentioned last time, like the 3 things. You have the art itself, the artist, and the audience. What the audience, and really what I'm talking about is like fundamentals in terms of how I view a meal. As an audience, the number 1 thing is, does it taste good?
Right.
And I think someone who did like you mentioned, you understood what he was trying to get at, you understand the techniques and stuff like that. So you appreciate it on a different level. But someone who doesn't cook at all like me,
right,
is it good or not?
right.
And if it's not good, I'm not gonna ask questions more because I'm not invested into the craft like you are.
Do you think tasting good is subjective?
Absolutely.
So then, that's why it's so hard. That is why, and it's not me saying woe is me, it's saying that is why the people that try to please everyone are fighting a losing game. Because
Correct.
the best thing you can do, I think, and it's something that I'm truly starting to realize, is you can just be yourself. And that's the best.
Yeah,
That's the best. That's the best. That is gonna win. Tell your story.
And that's the thing is, because personally, that's going to cause you to win. But it's no fun being that talented artist, chef that no one knows about.
Right, right.
So that's the struggle. But you need that struggle to be an artist too, right? So I totally agree. As if you want the win, actually, if you want the win, you quit. You quit the art.
True.
Yeah.
True. And do something else.
Yeah.
Do something else.
If you want the safe
If that's
win,
the win, is the financial win.
Right. Exactly.
What else? Is your paint dry? Do you think?
We got like 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
1 minute.
So let's pitch the knife Saya thing one more time.
Okay.
Because there's a bunch more people here on the channel and listening on the podcast that weren't there before.
Well, so I mean, you. I don't need a picture because you
Yeah,
had someone.
we have an offer. I've given in a couple different videos and spiels before. Look at Dozfy's Instagram. He does these amazing kind of thin line, black on white, white on black pieces, and he's done them on knife sayas, so like the wooden knife sheaths that some of you guys probably keep on your knives, and he's able to do them at no cost to you guys if you're willing to ship them to and from Seattle. So we've done, how many have we done now? 4? Four.
Yeah.
So send me an email or send Dozfy an email, dozfy@me.com with your name and what you want on your knife saya, and it's completely free. You just got to get it to us and pay for it to get back to you.
Yep.
And that's it. And we're just doing it as a beta test, see if there's any increased demand for it, because it would be something cool for you to do, to give back to the culinary community in a way. And also, you guys get to trick out your stuff.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's our ask. I'll link Dozfy up below if you guys want to follow. I have a couple more movies coming out soon that we're making this weekend. Where are we going to eat tonight?
We're gonna eat at Staple House.
I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah, it's been James Beard nominated in here in Atlanta, and so I'm really excited to see how you respond because
I'm really excited because I haven't explored Southern food in any capacity. Zero.
You have to go get some fried chicken this morning.
Yeah, well that was number one. And we also had, we had brisket last night and peppers with ricotta, and beignets for dessert. Where it's so fascinating to explore.
Especially after you travel to Europe.
Yeah, it's like polar. I mean, it is supposed to be the quote unquote next generation, but it's.
And you had a lovely dessert here too, didn't you?
Yep, panna cotta. But this is Italian.
That's true.
This is Southern.
That's
but
true.
Anyways, is there any questions for Patrick? Any questions for me? We'll stay on for a couple more minutes. End the podcast recording. So that's that. It was great hanging out with you folks. Sorry if the lighting sucked and if I'm streaming in potato quality video right now. Trying to stay connected to their Wi-Fi. I'm gonna cry if we're not. But anyways, thanks for watching, fam. Catch you guys in the next one. End it. Let's end it. Do I want to end streaming? Slurp.